I'm going to admit all, and then we will go from there. Hey, everybody, how are you doing? I see the screens are filling up like crazy, so that's awesome. Um, got some people's note takers on here, no problem. And Sean Baker, I haven't seen you in a while, dude. How are things, man? Good stuff. I see you're rocking and rolling. Everything's good in your world, which is good.
It's been a good year, yeah, for sure.
Nice, brother. Nice. Love hearing that. I'm hearing right now that not only in my company, but with the colleagues and whatnot that I just have in the industry, people are either like just running crazy busy or they are slow as molasses. And so we want to obviously be in the realm of busy right now. Just checking out who's in the waiting room. I've got some note takers that are joining in here. Just going to give it a minute or two, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you can do me a favor, and I will try and monitor it as well, just mute your screen just so that we can try and capture this to the best of our ability. And that way we can continue to, provide some value for you today, talk a little bit about what we're doing, support you in any way we can. I'll certainly leave a little bit of time afterwards for Q&A or anything that we can do to support. Again, you're welcome to take notes on this. I'm going to try and get a recording out for those that are on here. I'm always a little bit hesitant with recordings, and simply for the purposes of attendance. My members at the company and the things that I do, they're always asking for recordings. But the challenge is that I'm always concerned that people aren't going to show up, especially when we're doing live. So just want to make sure thumbs up. Everybody can hear me okay? Everybody can see. So we are 102. I'm going to give it one more minute and then we will get started. And just double checking the room. Awesome. Okay. Well, I'm going to get going. So first of all, for those of you that are joining us on I don't know, up here in southwestern Ontario, a very, very sunny, nice May day, which we haven't had a lot of. Welcome. Certainly honored to connect and support. As always, I know that some of you I have known for many years. Some of you we've known for a short while, and some of you might not know us at all. My name is Ryan Hodge. I'll talk a little bit about myself later, but I think that the majority of you are here to really hear a little bit more about the momentum that Sean Ryan, my colleague in Selling Toolz and longtime friend um, and industry expert, is going to bring to today. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited about this opportunity. I know that a lot of you probably see my posts, mainly talking about the excitement around AI discoverability and really what has lent to just this massive surge in even my own business, which was already, a pretty respectable business, all things considered. But I can tell you that this stuff that you're going to learn today is documented. I can peel back the curtain on exactly what I'm doing anytime. I think that you guys probably know, if you followed along with me for a while, that I'm an open book. And this to me is exciting because it's been a long time since I've been really, really excited about the opportunity that exists in real estate marketing, which is front and center. And it reminds me of the days of the SEO boom. And in the SEO boom, there were a lot of people that, saw it happening like myself, maybe tapped into it a little bit, but didn't quite take advantage. And when that, really started to take off, then the gurus of SEO got involved and most of the mega teams got involved. The people that were throwing around big bucks like 5 grand, 10 grand US per month to make this stuff work. And a lot of us just kind of let that go by the wayside. And I know a lot of people on here have successful businesses, but that really hasn't been a massive part of it. In the age of AI discoverability, and when I talk about AI, it's not about what you're seeing a lot of the folks that are training on AI in the industry speaking to in terms of workflows or just connecting with ChatGPT, maybe Claude. This is about how to get discovered so that you can start acquiring actual inbound conversations and opportunities. And I've been applying this for a while, mainly based on a lot of the recommendations from Sean in terms of putting this in place in my business for literally next to nothing or free. And I am consistently getting weekly inbound come list me messages, calls all through this process. So I hope that you take a lot of action, at least a little bit today, in terms of what this can do for you and your business. And on that note, I am going to introduce Sean Ryan to take it away.
Oh, hey, thanks, Ryan. Glad to have everyone here today. Ray, good to see you again. I know you were here for when we did a presentation like this similar a few months ago, but hopefully you get some more actions from it. So I've been in the business now the last 20 years. I'm here in Sarnia, Ontario. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you today really makes up about $250,000 a year in revenue from our business. And it's changed a little bit because a lot of it was just Google Business and stuff like that. But I really want to show you today is the opportunities you're probably missing out on because you're not being discovered. And there's a lot of agents in your market that I would say probably aren't nearly as good as you. They are getting some of these calls and stuff like that. So I'm going to go for about 30 minutes today, jam out in the slide deck here. We'll make sure we can get you a copy of that after. Anyone wants to follow me on Instagram, I just threw my handle in the chat. Love to connect with you on there. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so really today's session is be the answer, turning Google AI searches into listing calls. I've been doing this for a long time now, mostly in Google Business, but now we're really using it on AI, and it's making a big difference and just showing up and getting those calls for people and literally just getting in the room for the conversation. So one of my big goals a few years ago was I want to at least be part of the conversation. I want a chance at the table to sit down and at least talk to those buyers or have an opportunity to be on that listing presentation. And I think for a lot of us that have been in business for a long time, like at one time I was doing like 17 to 20 agent referrals per year, and we had a lot of referral business in our business, about 70% of it. But it's becoming harder and harder, I'm finding, to maintain that referral business. And I don't think we can really rely on that anymore in this day and age when it's not hard to find an agent. It's not hard to get a recommendation anymore from somebody as well. Here's the question too, is when people are recommending you, the first thing they're doing is they're searching you either on AI or Google AI, for instance, and you have to pop up in that as well, or you just won't have a seat at the table. Because I know when someone refers me someone, first thing I do is I check them out and do a search on them. So referrals aren't enough. I think we know that in this time of business. Search first behavior. I think more and more we're like that as a society. We're really searching, looking at these things, and just attention equals listings. And I think anyone that's been in business for a long time is, well, you got a list to last, right? So if you want to connect with me, here's website, email, Instagram. I'd love to connect with you a bit more. Buying with Ryan on Instagram. So here's the search highlights. We look at 27% of the search results are still on Google, and I think those are going up actually. So a lot of people have said to me, well, Sean, Google's dead. Google Business is dead. Not even close. It's coming back. And it was never really dead, but it's even more important now as these really integrate in together. So 13.7 billion searches per day on Google. And you can see the rest of the searches are made up on all these different platforms. And this changes on a daily basis, really. So we want to be part of those conversations on these different AI platforms and Google as well. Because I really look at it a little bit different as well, is that Google's a huge company. It's a $200 billion a year company, and they ain't going anywhere. And that's the big thing I think a lot of people have to realize. And I think if anyone's going to win the AI race for the most part for general consumer users, we have general consumer users for AI, but then you have enterprise users. Those are like businesses, maybe they're using Claude Code more, they're building things, they're doing things, but the general public is just using AI like a search. Most of them, about 95% of them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Make sure you're popping up on this. So here's the first thing. what Google search looks like today still. It's still very relevant. We look on the top, we have those paid ads, done them many times, I run them many times, and this is for a paid results on Google search. And now we're seeing these in AI. ChatGPT is running it right now. I don't think it's available in Canada yet for realtors. That's a whole other thing. We can go down. Local service ads they have in the States for real estate is what this would look like. But I really want to get into first is your Google business profile. And first of all, hopefully everyone on this call has a Google business profile. If you don't, make sure you go get one. It's a free tool. It's very relevant, and it's very SEO rich as well. So Google business profile, what it does is it shows up in the Mac pack. You know, when you search nearest restaurant near me, coffee near me, and you see these 3 results pop up, and you can see if they're open, call now, see them on the map. That's what that is. Displays reviews, displays what people are saying about you, and proof of concept that people used you as a realtor as well. Direct content, they can call, message you on there as well. And there's lots of posts and updates you can do on there as well. And this is a big one where I think people, they set up a Google business profile, they get a few reviews on it, and then they really forget about it. And I see that's the biggest mistake most people do. I've probably done audits on over 500 Google business pages over the years. I've done, close to 7,000 coaching hours. And it's the biggest mistake I've seen people do over and over again. So here's the map pack. This is what I was talking about earlier. It changes depending on your device, but here's the organic right here in the red circle. You can see we're popping up on top. And then that's a sponsored ad right above us as well. So you can do sponsored ads in this as well, or you can have organic search results here. So reviews are ranking fuel. So for a little while there, Google business reviews weren't popping up in ChatGPT. But now that Gemini is really starting to take the lead over from ChatGPT, I'm finding in some of the other sites, Perplexity, Claude, these are more and more relevant even more now because they are popping up in the citations and in the lists as well. So Google uses reviews as a ranking signal. Big thing. Got to keep getting them consistently. If you had 500 reviews and I had 6, but I was being consistent in getting them every week, let's say, it wouldn't be hard to pull in front of you on a ranking just because I have less reviews. It doesn't matter. AI tools, they cite these things as well, and consumers trust reviews a lot more. So keep that in mind. So, how to get the reviews again, you're going to ask your clients. And I like to ask them over and over again. I like to ask clients for reviews as soon as the sale goes conditional, as soon as the sale goes firm. Don't ask on closing date or the day before. They're usually pretty stressed and they probably get a little pissed off that you ask. But don't be afraid to ask over and over again. People just forget. People are busy. People don't know what to do. But also, you have to have different ways of asking for it as well, but make it easy. That's the big thing. I think most people make it complicated sometimes. So here's your Google Map pack in a nutshell. You have your Google business page, you have the product section, you have the update section in here as well, and you have all your social profiles. You want to make sure they're linked in there. At one point in time, you couldn't link your social profiles. They organically had to connect to them, but Google did change this a little while ago where you can just put those social profiles in there. So you really want to make sure you go through this whole profile, make sure it's all updated as well. But here's the thing. If your profile is kind of crappy and you haven't done anything on a while, don't go in and change it all right away. You'll probably get flagged. You might get shut down, and then I'm going to get an angry text from you or a DM saying, Sean, you told me to do all these things, and now my page is shut down. So put in your calendar, just do a little bit this week, a little bit this week, and so you can get those results. And then this is the other Google search as well, and this is below the map pack. So you got the top part, you got sponsored ads, you got the map pack in the middle, and then the bottom you have websites showing up, citations as well on the general Google search. And this is very important as well. I find a lot of the customers that are in this search are in the research phase. They might not be ready for 3 to 6 months, maybe a year from now, but they're just gathering information at this point to look for, hey, who's the realtor I'm going to pick? Who am I going to interview? Let's figure out what's going on in the market a bit more. So Google AI overview, I think most people have seen this now. As we get into Google, we'll see it has its AI overview options. Some people have it all the time. Some people has an option. Really depends on how you have your stuff set up. And Google hasn't fully rolled it out for everybody. So this is a Google AI overview. So Google search has changed quite a bit. This looks kind of very similar to ChatGPT would have looked like, for instance, or inside of Gemini. but this is right in Google search. So you can see right here, what it's doing instead of giving you a bunch of websites, it's summarizing its options for you. And then on the side here, you can see it's popping up all these citations like we're going to talk about today a bit more. Facebook citation, Rank My Agent, YouTube, your website is probably the biggest center point really for all these citations coming up. So AI is the new front page. So let's talk about a couple different things on here and how these are popping out. So let's look at ChatGPT. Everyone uses ChatGPT. A lot of people do. More and more using other ones, but we're starting a real stage, and I searched in here, and I did all these actually in a different account. I set up like a free one and did a lot of this, so it wasn't popping up and just popping up in mine. But you can see here, starting a real stage, I type it in just like a Google chat, and it's coming up with all these different recommendations. But you can see here on the right, all the citations again. You know, website popping up, Zillow's popping up. Yes, in Canada, Zillow is a very powerful citation and a very popular signal online to AI, Google search, and to AI search as well. Perplexity.com. I don't know if you're using this or not. Huge AI, very powerful, especially Perplexity Computer. Won't go down that rabbit hole today. But again, you type in what you're looking for, it pops out the search results for you, but it also summarizes it very nicely for you as well. Creates this little chart for you. So you can do pros and cons with everything, which I think is really cool. I love this. I'm a very visual person. So you can see here it is give us all the different brokerages or agents that it recommends, summarizes it in a nice chart for you. But if you look off to the right here, that's a Google business page. That's its main citation, Google Maps, that it popped out from. So that's why it's so important when I started with Google business pages, because while your website's important and the blogging's important, it really gives those good citations for all these things. Google business is very important as well. And then now let's go to Gemini. Again, looking for starting real estate recommendations. There we are popping up here as well, but you can see it's summarizing all these things for us here. So what are consumers asking AI? That's the big question, and that's where it comes down to the content you should be creating, the blogs you should be blogging about, the YouTube videos you should be making is based on what people are searching in your community. We have a lot of great tools that we can use to find this. You could use AI to help you with these search results. You can use programs like Answer the Public as well. But, you know, best realtor in Sarnia, top listing agent near me. Who should I use to sell my house? This is literally the conversations people are having with it. And you got to remember AI now is a much more of a fluent conversation where, especially in Perplexity, you ask this question, gives you all the answers, but then it's going to recommend the next question you ask. And it's going to go down this rabbit hole with people. And people have this full-on conversation back and forth with the AI now before they even reach out to you. And the question is, are you going to be popping up in those results? So AI doesn't guess. It goes through all this thing, summarizes, like I showed you, into those charts. You know, it scans and indexes websites and content. That's where AI gets its results from. It's not making things up for the most part. It's finding stuff that we've given it already online in content. Analyzes reviews, ratings across platforms, elevates credibility signals, links, mentions, citations, like we're talking about here today. And it really looks for, too, is consistency in your data. Is your name, address, phone the same? Is it spelled the same way? Is it the same way across all these different platforms? Because if it's not, you have issues. So where does AI get its information from? We talked about a little bit here, citations, but these are all profiles right now that you need to have profiles on. Google Business Profile, Realtor.ca. You know how many realtors don't have a picture on Realtor.ca or don't have their information or their contact information on there? Absolutely bananas. Your website's a very essential piece of this because your website's really one of the few things that you have control over. Algorithms change, social platforms can change, you can be kicked off them, booted off them. Your website, your email list are one of the few things that you actually have control over. Your brokerage bio, have it filled out. Get your picture, get your information on there. Make sure it matches to everything else you got going. YouTube channel, very high. Rank My Agent. Yeah, I get it. A lot of it's crap. A lot of it's baloney. A lot of it's smoke and mirrors. But Rank My Agent and Rate My Agent are very big signals when asking AI who the best realtor is in my city. Zillow. I know a lot of us are here in Canadian markets on this call today, but Zillow does have a very big SEO footprint in Canada. Especially anyone here that's in southwestern Ontario or that arm here where we have, down Niagara way, you got a border over there. We're in Sarnia, we have a border Michigan over here. Windsor, Chatham area, you have a border down there. Zillow has a very big footprint in this part of Canada. Agent Pronto, Reddit's a huge one too. Reddit plays a heavy part in SEO right now in citations as well. Yellowpages.ca, yeah, phone book guys and girls, but the digital version. 3 best rated's a big one. LinkedIn profiles. Industry, yeah, your awards in your industry, they may be crap again, but put them on there. Talk about them. Do a blog about you winning an award and being a top agent in your area and getting this for sales and blah, 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 and top 5% in your marketplace for this. It makes a difference. Yelp. Yelp's a good one too. It's a bit trickier to do with. It wouldn't be my first I'd start with, but local business partnerships with backlinks and citations on each website. And press and media is a big one too. So there's that one magazine, I forget what it's called, where a realtor pays in to be rated as the top agent. Actually has really good value online. I know it's a lot of fluff between you and your colleagues, but it does play pretty big actually online. So must-have checklists like we talked about. I'm going to send these off to you guys. Make sure you go through and just make sure you have profiles really on all these different things right now. So your website really is your digital asset, like I talked about before, it's really where everything's going to be linked together here with your blogging, your content. It's one of the few things that you do have control over. So you don't own social media. Just like a few months ago, TikTok was almost banned in the US. Probably would have been banned in Canada as well if it happened there. So that just shows you how fast these things could flip. And like I said, algorithms change. You don't control those things. You control your email, the stuff in your database, your CRM, and your website. The only things you really own. So what makes it a website really AI friendly is, first of all, search your website. See if the AI can read the blogs and the content on there. A lot of websites will block AI still, and they can only read like the first line or two. You're not going to be popping up. Is it clean structure? The page is organized? Is it easy to navigate? SEO optimized? Can you have those options to optimize things in the back end? All too often, I've had websites where they won't let me add code into the back. They won't let me add things onto the header for tracking and schema codes and stuff like that. Make sure you have that ability to do that so you don't have to constantly pay someone to do that from that company. Fast load speed, obviously, and then mobile optimized. That's a big one as well. And can you make some changes yourself? Can you make changes to the blogs? Can you do a couple edits here and there? And here's a big thing people don't realize is there's 2 types of sites really. There's like a brochure site, or maybe it's like 1 or 2 pages, 3 pages. You can do things on, not a whole lot you can do. It's not really SEO optimized, citation optimized, AI searchability really. And then authoritative sites where you got dynamic content pages, regular blog posts. You can embed YouTube videos in there as well. Really just grow that SEO footprint so you're visible online. You're getting those calls as well. So why blogging still wins, and this is really everything I've talked about today comes back to blogging. And I've been blogging pretty consistent for the last 10 years. Most people laughed at me when I talked about blogging all the time 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. But it's paying off in spades for us now. The footprint and really the foundation we've built in our business really comes from this. For a while there, we were doing about 16 blogs a month and with a video embedded on all of them. So we're really popping up in like, is it a good time to sell my house in the winter? When's the best time to sell your house? All those different things are in there as well. So blogs really increase that keyword coverage. Blogs create citation depth, which is something that you should really be focused on. Blogs feed the video content as well if you do it properly. And then blogs build long-term search traffic. Like they just live there forever. As long as you keep the same site going and the links out there, but everything just keeps going, keeps winning, keeps building up on stuff for you over and over again. So really the content's the fuel. This is what you should be looking at doing and creating this content to help fuel your website and keep yourself doing. So there's a couple things I want to talk about today on this now. We got long form content, we got short form content. It's really all in play now, more and more. The short form even more. So YouTube Shorts now really fuels a lot of the algorithm for YouTube, and that's been something that's changed in the last little bit, which is really big. But you could see on some of those screenshots I showed you of search results on AI, it was pulling stuff in from Instagram, it was pulling stuff in from Facebook, YouTube Shorts. All that is on there as well. So short form content, real shorts, TikToks, social media posts, stories, quick updates, builds awareness and reach, and then really drives the traffic to the long form stuff. And the short form content, for the most part, wasn't being referenced by AI as much as it is now, and especially in YouTube, it's even more relevant. Blog posts, huge for long form content, 800 to 2,000 words. I usually recommend like a great 5 to 7 reading level as well. Doesn't need to be too complex. You don't need to sound like the smartest person in the room. Keep it simple. YouTube videos we're trying to get most of them over 10 minutes, not under 10. I find the algorithm's really liking that right now as well. And then market reports and guides are simple ones, builds authority in depth and then gets indexed and cited by AI quite often as well. And then just long term for traffic generators. So YouTube gets cited, and this is why, especially with Google. It's the second largest search engine in the world. It's owned by Google. It's all integrated into it more and more. And that's what I'm talking about again when I said earlier in this call is that if I was really going to bet on a platform, I would bet on Google for the AI race for the general consumer because it's so much easier to just insert Gemini into so many people that already have Google accounts and their Gmail accounts and their YouTube channels and they're doing the search and all that stuff like that. So that's why I really emphasize on Google, and that's why my bet is on Google as well for the general consumer to use over and over again. So, again, why Instagram just isn't enough anymore, doing the short form content, the reels and stuff. Instagram really has its limitations. Content, I take this back. It is being more indexed into now. We're seeing actually Instagram roll right into the Google profiles. So since I did a slide deck, that has been updated a little bit, but it still is limited. Is because the thing about Instagram is it's constantly changing the algorithm and the flow and stuff like that. And I'm finding the websites, the citations from that, the content building really stays very, very consistent as well. And again, Instagram, though, is still really good. It's really good for brand awareness, getting your brand out there, getting the stuff out there, and really pointing it back to some of your long form content as well. So if they're searching it, it should be answering. That's what I talked about earlier, really is, look at your content strategies, look at sites like this, look at search predictions, look at answer the public, make sure you're creating that content around what people are searching. Just don't come up with random topics because what you think people want to hear about, they actually don't. So keep that in mind, okay? So be the answer. Agents who show up get the calls. The strategies I'm using right here, we've been doing about $250,000 in GCI for the last 5 or 6 years, just based on this stuff here. Again, it was mostly just Google Business before. We've been adapting it more and more to be for AI. So we're seeing a little bit less on Google Business, but we're seeing more AI calls now and more. And since Ryan started implementing this thing, he's had a couple good deals from people showing up on ChatGPT as well. So it was pretty, and it didn't take that long for Ryan to start seeing the results from starting to do it, which was pretty cool as well. So just building that content with AI, use that as well. Here's kind of a bit of a flywheel as how we do our post is everything goes as a blog post, embed a YouTube video on it, but then we really take that content and we distribute it out through all these different platforms. So, shorts and reels, we're creating email newsletters with it, social carousels, LinkedIn feeds, Google Business, blog articles, podcast clips. Really, it all centralizes on everyone getting back to that blog on the website, all the different content through the flywheel. And it just opens up really a lot of different things we can do is, we can retarget ads at people. We can get people into our world a bit more, get to know us a little bit more, get to know our story, maybe read some other articles, maybe do a forced registration with them. There's a lot of pieces you can do once you get them into your world. And that's why I think it's so important for everything to go right back to that blog post. So here's like a bit of a weekly content cadence I recommend for people. A lot of people get overwhelmed by the idea of this. Like, Sean, I don't create any content now. I do the odd picture of my dog. Maybe I should do more pictures of my dog. I don't know. But really, I look at the weekly content cadences. Most people try to do it all in one shot. They try to plan, they try to write, they try to record and edit all in one spot. And it's too tiring to try to do it all at once. And that's why most people fail. They don't have a plan in place of how they're going to produce this content, how they're going to get this content out over and over again. So I look at this. Mondays, write your content, write the outline, figure it all out. Tuesdays, record it. Wednesdays, edit the video, extract the shorts and the reels through lots of great programs. Thursday, publish it. Friday, email it out. LinkedIn, social media as well. So if you're just doing a little bit each day, I think really you could spend maybe a half an hour a day and have a full content scheduled out every day. Because we can get into schedulers and all those programs like that, and you could really get it out to everybody. So turning visibility really into listing calls is what this all was about today, is being seen, being known, so people can find you. So that's it for today on this. Any questions on this at all?
Sean, maybe what we can do is people can, maybe write down a few questions, and then towards the end of this, we can really open it up. That way people
Yeah,
will
sure.
get a full spectrum. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of content myself, and, just share in terms of just results based first. And so, when Sean first mentioned to me, probably a couple years ago, that he was starting to get so much activity through some of this. And when I heard the number 250 through these methods alone, I went, you're full of it, right? And it's been the same thing for me in terms of even my spouse, Sandra, who owns a company with me, and we've been selling together for a long, long time now. When I first started showing her results, she was like, there's no way. And I'll kind of get into how that looks. I can share that I've been actively applying this at a fairly high level, getting started for about 3 months. I've got documented over six figures already this year, whether it's firm, closed, or even conditional with inventory on the go. That's where I've started to get excited. And if I look at what the trajectory should be, I have no doubt that that 250 from these strategies alone will be there in short order. But I want to share that, that can be a little bit overwhelming, and it can be a little bit of disbelief. But I can tell you that if you do take consistent committed action, that is where you're going to start to see the differences that this stuff can actually make. And so what Sean really referenced here was just that consistency. And what I find with real estate agents, everybody's on a different level, and everybody's got a different level of business operation and productivity. They have a different level of, where they're at and where they want to go as far as their own wants, needs, desires in business and in life. And they also have, a different understanding of how tech works. And I find that over the years, because I've been so involved in online lead gen and things like that, a lot of people are just frankly quite overwhelmed by tech, and I can be as well. If you just start slowly and get consistent slowly, you can start to get some confidence, which will then build your capacity. And so the one thing that I'm going to share from what I know is that Sean mentions name, address, phone number. Okay, name, address, phone number, and getting that consistent across all of your profiles so that it's picked up that way. And what you'll find is that you're going to start to see, the way that people have changed is also getting more and more consistent. And it's absolutely critical for you to start dialing that in on your own processes. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of this in terms of the way that buyers and sellers find their agent, because I believe that it has now changed forever. I've been so big on online lead generation, working by referral, direct mail marketing, even cold prospecting, open houses over the last nearly 20 years. I've never seen a trajectory changing at this pace through exactly what Sean just mentioned: AI search, ChatGPT, Gemini, Google. Really, ultimately, it's discoverability, but you have to have some digital authority. And so as we look at this, and I'm just kind of going through this, just a PDF that I pulled here for you. If you don't know me or you're new to my experience, again, I've been in the business nearly 20 years, not just as a coach and trainer or a consultant, but as somebody who has produced at a very high level inside of this business. 1% in my marketplaces many years, 1% in the entire country at one point. I'm also in a brokerage with over 100 highly productive human beings, and I've generated millions and millions of dollars in commissions. Ultimately, most people come in because they know about my lead machine. So they know that the online lead space has been one that I've heavily focused on for nearly 20 years, building, testing, and refining lead generation system that I call the lead machine, which is not a product, but it's a philosophy of how to take people that are in your top of funnel or outside of your funnel or experience, bringing them in, capturing them, utilizing websites, landing pages, the proper conversion techniques, scripts, dialogues, getting into that presentation in terms of appointments that is now a battle-tested framework, which I just constantly refine using tech, systems, and processes that every single year generates hundreds of thousands of commissions for myself. This isn't, people that I coach with. This is individual in the trenches as an operator. I focus very heavily on my architecture in terms of CRM. I have consistently been using PPC and Google ads, Facebook and Meta ads, again, using conversion, a lot of follow-up and automation. And I have really refined what my standard is, because I moved away many years ago from having the top team in my marketplace to a team in my brokerage, but with the capacity in terms of my actual brokerage and our own personal sales, I moved away from team to provide a process where agents can come in and get company provided leads on a much higher split, but ultimately really looking at that ROI. And every single thing that you want to focus on in this business, especially because there's so much distraction out there in the industry, it has to have an ROI. So what we're looking at is, can you find something that is proven and predictable that you can learn from somebody that's actually doing it, that takes daily action in doing it and actually gets a result? And I think that that's where, when you look at the online lead space, that has always been very predictable. Most people abandon it because they just don't have the right tools and systems in place. And it does come down to, are you using a CRM, which many agents are not. Many agents think that because they have a website, they're going to get leads. But if you're not optimizing your website, and when I say website, I'm not talking about, a WordPress or some of the templated sites that are out there in the industry that are just not built or, created to have discoverability indexed and built inside of them, which is overwhelming. I get a little bit of high tech stuff, but understanding conversion rates, how to automate some of this stuff, routing, the right people. So whether you're an individual agent, whether you're a team leader, whether you're a brokerage, you have the right strategies that it makes sense. Because if you do this at a high level, you really, really need to get that ROI, because the cost is quite expensive, but not so much with some of these frameworks that Sean is teaching. And so Sean's a pretty humble guy. What he doesn't talk about is that he is one of the top operators in the province, all things considered, tested team leader. He has literally built a brokerage to scale and exit, runs a highly productive team, also a coach in the Tom Ferry organization on other matters. But my belief and philosophy is that it's important for me not to always be the smartest guy in the room. In fact, I intend on never being that guy. But ultimately, with our combined experience, it really starts to cover every layer of modern real estate lead gen and discoverability. And so Sean doesn't give himself enough credit sometimes, but he's been around and he has a very, very strong working knowledge in this. Again, what he mentioned as well is that most agents are digitally invisible. Most agents are invisible in general. The majority of agents do not put themselves out there. And those that do usually do it the same thing that they do with their website, a glorified way of marketing. Look at me, look at how great I am. These are my accomplishments, which we know in some cases actually repulses the consumer. And so it's important for us to have a unique value proposition when everybody else is either not putting themselves out there or they're doing it in a way that is exactly the same as everybody else. And most agents will post this kind of content, hoping, praying, wishing that something happens. They're doing it without an actual infrastructure behind it. And when you're building anything and you don't have infrastructure, it's like creating these strategies and learning and implementing AI, but without the infrastructure, it's like building on rented land. And we want to help you avoid that. Because of my experience in the real estate lead generation industry, ultimately, I have tried, tested, and utilized just about every major platform, whether it's Kits marketing, whether it's your online agents, whether it's Sierra, whether it's Sync, whether it's any of the CRM companies. I have typically tested and measured all of them because I've been doing it for so long. And when I've looked at it, I had always come back to the organization that I've now acquired with Sean, which is Selling Toolz. Selling Toolz, for your information, was run and operated by a long-time individual team leader inside of the London market who about 20 years ago got out of the business and built a software company, James Osmar, who quite frankly was ahead of his time. But over the years, he created this platform, which has just continually been scrutinized, built out, and enhanced as the tech kept emerging, primarily for the different platforms that it offers: a website, a CRM, managed leads. So having somebody manage your leads, which include your landing pages that people can, pay for a service to have their leads managed, where they can start to track and measure how many leads they're getting. And James has been doing this at a high level. At one point, he was working with most of the top team leaders across Canada, some in the US, in terms of this type of lead generation platform. And I know that that's not really what many of you might be here for, but it's important to understand what Selling Toolz is and how it can enhance what Sean's teaching and now what I'm starting to bring to, some of my audience as well. And so when you look at the platform in terms of Selling Toolz, James had approached me several years ago. I was number one user of the system over many years. He's inching into more of that retirement. He's still got a very supporting role in the organization. Sean has been a very, very active user for nearly as long as I have. Other people that have used it, such as Sandra Pike, she just did a mastermind at our company, one of the leading agents out in Nova Scotia. All heavy users that, have looked at it, but have said, how can we make this better? And with the emerging, elements of AI, how can we really take it on? James had approached me about buying it a few years ago because he's, like I said, into more of his twilight of his career. And I just couldn't get there with all things that, I would want to do with it. The conversation started again last year. Sean was entered into the conversation, which was just a natural fit. We've been colleagues, friends, business referral sources over many years. And I just knew that, and he would agree, we bring different strengths to the equation to ultimately serve our mission, which is serving and supporting agents as, two people that have continued to help build something that actually operate. And you'll hear me time and time again talk about the people that are in this industry has really, changed the way that everybody is being sold, but what are we actually buying? So again, this is something that originally and continues to be built by operators. Every feature inside of the system was built because it solved a real estate problem in the field, not because a developer thought it was a good idea. It is a full ecosystem for websites, CRM, landing pages, and automation, and something that most do not do inside of tech companies in real estate, which is live weekly coaching and live monthly office hours that are all in one place, all working seamlessly together. Again, our history with James is very strong. We've both been using this platform for many years. And ultimately, this is where the thing has changed dramatically. And I hope that it does for you as well. Because while I had mastered traditional lead generation, Sean and I began exploring a new frontier. Now, he's much more, I'm sure that you'll understand and appreciate, knowledgeable in terms of discoverability. He was with Google in certain ways before we got involved together, but certainly in AI. But this is something that you can begin to pick up very quick, even if you feel that it's a little bit overwhelming. but it's about understanding that the way that buyers and sellers search for agents is really shifting. And like he said, it's not just on Google, even though Google's a massive part of our business, but people are searching inside of these other platforms, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, like you mentioned, all large language models. And that's where, when we started to look at Selling Toolz, it was, how do we develop our own methods? How do we test them in the fields? And how do we start seeing the results? And for me, and I know that Sean's already gotten these massive results, I haven't seen anything like this in my nearly 20 years in the business. And this is where, again, I don't normally get too excited about real estate marketing, but I'm really excited right now because the opportunity is here right now. And it's already happening. So a few months ago, when this really started to take off, I had a listing call on ChatGPT. Person called me, they said they found me there, not Google, not on one of my landing pages, or not a referral, but they said, can you come over and look at my house? They've been listed for over a year on ChatGPT. I thought that I was just going to be qualifying price, but when I got there, what I quickly realized was that the credibility factor that's happening inside of AI positioned me very, very well to begin with. I took the listing on the spot. I ended up having a buyer that happened to go to see the property with me a few hours later, double-ended the sale, and it was a $36,000 commission, which I went, wow, like that's crazy. I get home, I tell my spouse about it, and she said, you're crazy. It's not from that. I don't believe you, basically. The next day, we were at a listing appointment, and we both went to that one together. The seller indicated that they found me on Gemini. And that's where she started to get excited as well. And I put some of these tools and resources in place for her, where even last weekend, we went out to a listing because they found her through Gemini search as well. And I share that this is now compounding with simple strategy: name, address, phone number, Google business page, some review strategies, understanding some of the discoverability, whether it's SEO or AI discoverability through the platform of choice, whether it's blog or YouTube. I know not everybody wants to be on video. And when I just started simply combining them, it's just starting to build and build and build, where I just can't believe it. And we're continuing to share exactly what we're doing in terms of these frameworks on a weekly basis. And we're going to do more free webinars, but there's certainly an opportunity to go a little bit deeper with this and start to get a profound result. As always, if you want a result, you've got to take action. If you want massive results, you've got to take massive amounts of action. And with AI, I think that it's just this rabbit hole that we can go into, where you could be doing this nonstop to try and get the results. As you're probably, heavily invested in other elements of your business or family or things like that, we've got to be a little bit cautious because there's just so much that we can do. My recommendation, which, like Sean mentioned, 5 to 7 hours of committed work per week, but even at the start, 10 to 15 minutes per day. 10 to 15 minutes per day to start making sure that your frameworks are working at a high level. And it can literally start to have a massive, massive difference. Because right now, if you are not where you're at in business, it's not that you don't have a lead problem. Okay. You don't. You have an infrastructure problem. WordPress, sites like that are not built based on the technology that exists to be discoverable by AI, are just not going to work. And I get a lot of people that have always said, I'll go get my own website. I know how to create a website. That's not what's going to work for this stuff. So it's not about enough leads. It's that you don't have the infrastructure, not only with your tech, but with your methodology to get discoverable. Okay. And so if you're getting discovered, but you're not getting leads, that means you have low conversion. Okay. So low conversion is the symptom, but really it's about not having a CRM or follow-up systems. Now, some of you, immediately when you hear CRM, go, I don't want to change CRM. I've already got a CRM. I totally get it. I still use Follow-Up Boss at a very, very high level because we are redesigning our CRM lead booker to be an entirely new dashboard infrastructure and the way that it has been used, because the tech's built, but we want it to be very, very optimized for the everyday user. The other symptom that people are having is that they're literally invisible online just because they have a weak website and poor SEO. And you need to understand that there are a number of factors that are going to help you actually build SEO rather than just thinking that you can copy and paste something out of ChatGPT and that's going to do it. That usually leads to inconsistent business. And this is a way to start building consistency. But the real cause, if you're not getting it from these methods, is that you've got fragmented, disconnected tools. It all has to weave together. And if you're falling behind, it's usually because this is part of the process when it comes to the actual strategy and automation that is needed by having the right infrastructure. So we want to help with that. Your website is the foundation of your entire business. I am certain of that. And too often people want to scale to other places before they actually build a proper foundation. Every post, every ad, every piece of content that is not vanity posting needs to point somewhere that you own. And when I say you own, not the brokerage site that you're being provided. I'm going to share a secret, and it's not because I don't provide brokerage websites either. I have profiles that agents can use if they don't have their own website. But your digital headquarters needs to be owned by you. The secret is that most real estate brokerages brands, they want you to use their built-in CRM and their website, not because it's the highest tech on the planet, but because it makes it sticky. It makes it sticky for an agent to leave, and they actually own the data in most cases. And most of these sites, whether it's a brokerage templated site, or whether it's a site that is really, really inexpensive, not that it needs to break the bank, has very little discoverability. It's not allowing you to have brand authority, visible and invisible brand authority. It's not built to have true AI readability, lead capture, search indexing. It's not allowing you to create a long-term asset. And that long-term asset is what's building consumer trust with your SEO, AIO, GEO foundation. Some of these terms might not sound completely familiar, but we're going to help you get there, okay? So in terms of Selling Toolz, we've created what we feel is the modern agent operating system. It's built by agents and it's for agents. Okay, built by producers who have done this at a pretty high level, okay? Sales are not an issue for us right now. If you are watching even my own sales, which I haven't always posted as much about, always had some people that, inside the company do things for me from a leverage perspective. But rest assured, I wasn't going to acquire a software company for the real estate industry without absolutely being able to prove that it works and works at a super high level. And sales are a non-issue for me right now. We are just flying week in and week out, new listings, and it's going to keep going. And the people that we work with very closely are going to have that same experience if they commit to the action that we suggest. Okay. You can buy anything that you want. You can invest in any kind of software, tool, coach, trainer, whatever. But if you're not prepared to take the action, then it's just not going to work. Okay. So I need to, indicate that for sure. Everything that we have built and that we are continuing to build is not theory. Okay. You'll always hear me talk about market tested, market proven, and the features that we have exist because they've solved a real problem in the field. It's not one single tool, but it's a fully integrated operating system. So let's talk about what that normally looks like. So a high performance agent website, there's a few people on here like me that have probably spent anywhere from 5 to 10 grand building out some deluxe website at some point in their career. And ultimately that website probably didn't do too much. Our websites, which even if you're not interested in our websites, or you have a website that you're quite happy with, you need to ask the following questions. Is it IDX and DDF compatible? Is it and does it have an SEO optimized architecture? Does it have an AI readable structure? And what I'm sharing is that if you look around at most of the website companies and you know all the names, I can't name one right now that is talking about AI discoverability on a high level. Okay, it's got to be mobile friendly, and it has to be built specifically to allow you to convert. And the normal market price of this stuff is anywhere from 3 to 10,000 build custom, usually 99 to 200 bucks a month to maintain. That doesn't even have a CRM included. And what you get with us is a fully built, live, optimized real estate website. The tech has been built. There's an onboarding process to make sure that this is done for your marketplace. And ultimately, if you look to get into the CRM element, which you can bypass, because everybody says, I've got my own CRM, changing a CRM is a pain in the butt. You can bypass that into your own, okay, if you're doing some form of lead generation. Our CRMs are built with automated follow-up. It's built with the capacity to do smart lists, action plans, speed dialer built in, SMS texting, video email, mobile app. The thing is deluxe. What we're focusing on right now is taking the classic version that many people have used or bypassed and making that, which we have a demo that we're going to be looking at the next week or two, to a very, very visually appealing, high performing, easy to use CRM. Because what we know, and we love James Osmar, but James is brilliant mind that puts so much into a CRM, but the everyday user doesn't always want that much because it's too stimulating. And like anything, when it's too much, we get overwhelmed. We don't end up using it. We want Lead Booker to be so compatible with the everyday user that they just love using it. And that is our mission to continue to create high converting landing pages. So you may not want to get into, paid management or things like that. What we share is that we offer paid management for online lead generation, whether it's GoPro. So those are our seller landing pages, Gold Rush buyer landing pages, home evaluation landing pages, and lead capture forms, which ultimately to build on your own normally are about 5,000 to 2,000 to build, usually 40 to 100 bucks a month to maintain. These are all included in our full bundle. And what I share is that, over time, you might say, well, I'm not really into lead generation or, cost of Google, which by the way is incredibly expensive these days in most markets. We're showing people how to get more bang for their buck on Facebook and Meta with our development team. We have a full development team that we employ to convert more leads at less money. And that was the reason that I've always stuck with Selling Toolz, because I've always used them, even though I looked elsewhere almost every year. And I tried the Sierras, I tried the agent locators, I tried all of the companies that but I kept coming back to the Selling Toolz organization. I would always get a slightly higher quality of lead, even though online leads are of lesser quality. I would get more leads and I would get them for less money. And over the years, I just couldn't move away from it. And now all we're looking to do is to enhance that. The other difference with what we're doing, and because of the team of experts that we employ, very, very shortly, we're going to be run ads off OpenAI. OpenAI is actually now available, but only in the US and only for businesses. As soon as we are ready to go and it is available to Canada, I'm having conversations with the folks at OpenAI as often as I can. We want to be one of the first to market so that we can start running ads for you off OpenAI. Again, the word coach is thrown around very loosely. There are a lot of people that own these types of companies that have never sold a house. It's not to say that they can't provide any value, but what we look at as something that is not happening inside of the actual industry in terms of the tech industry, real estate software industry, is the ability to get live coaching, live onboarding, and a live perspective on how to implement these tools. So we have committed to weekly live coaching. Every single week, I am doing a live weekly call on every single strategy that I'm applying and every single strategy that, Sean's applying. He's doing breakout sessions. He's doing webinars. He's doing a lot of the things that you're, getting just kind of a surface level look at today, that we're going to a very, very granular level, but also helping people get onboarded, helping people get proper access to the development team when they need support that they may not have been aware of that existed in the company before. Ongoing training of how this discoverability opportunity is evolving and how to actually implement it. And I can share with you that my one-on-one coaching is typically $500 per 30-minute call. And those that have coached with me before know it's quite costly. Sean's a coach for Tom Ferry, which, he's doing a little bit more of the training on the tech side of things versus what is different inside of his coaching platform. But combined, we are bringing live service and support every single week. So you can look at the cost of what that might be. And ultimately, even if you never had a website, even if you never had a CRM, even if you had no interest in doing live lead generation or having your leads managed, I think that you will get incredible value if you commit to what we're offering today. Because here's what we're offering. The high performance website typically valued at 3,000 plus, full CRM, minimum $1,800 a year for a good one in this industry. Buyer and seller landing pages. Again, usually you're going to see about $1,500. SEO and AI discoverability setup, easily $1,000. And when you look at what SEO typically costs, you're like $5,000 per month. Automation and follow-up systems, the evolving part of that's usually at $1,200 a year. Weekly live coaching, again, if you find a coach that is, $500 a month, that's $6,000 per year. I would question what that coach is actually offering. You're about 4x that amount with me. Onboarding and implementation, we are going to support you with the exact steps. I know that, I've got a couple agents in my other office right now that just signed up for Selling Toolz. They're looking to book a call with Sean, who's supporting and onboarding very shortly. And again, developer team access, live support tickets that within 24 to 40 hours, you can get a response. And so ultimately, when you look at the total value of something like this is at least 20,000. I'll say minimum 16,000 for your first year of getting started. With us, we're offering a special today at $129 per month, and that is in Canadian dollars. But what we're sharing is that we can only do this for so long because we have a lot of people that are coming into the system. Onboarding, that's a pretty massive commitment, obviously. But we want to get the people that want to commit to this first into the platform. And so if you are looking to get involved, I'll provide a link and a QR code for you here shortly. But we have included the website and lead booker plan. You can go to sellingtoolz.com, Selling Toolz with a Z or Z for anybody that's from the US that's watching today. Normally we have a $500 setup fee. We're waiving that today. The one-on-one onboarding call, we typically have a $500 charge for that, waiving that today. And if you do not like the system, or if you're feeling that the system is not providing you value, we have a 30-day money-back guarantee, whether you pay monthly or if you pay yearly. Now, the setup fees are waived for yearly subscribers, but ultimately today it would be a $129 investment if you're looking to pay monthly. So we're going to keep this open for 48 hours, and ultimately this is the link to get involved. So we have a QR code here that I will leave up for a second. You can go to sellingtoolz.com if you want to learn more or see more about the system. But we want to serve and support anybody that's getting involved with the Selling Toolz community, and the founders pricing for those that are, new to experiencing Sean and I as part of Selling Toolz, or looking to get really, really dialed in on their discoverability and their ability to take action with this opportunity. We've looked to provide you with some discounted pricing, some additional services that we're waiving, and trying to provide you with some pretty good value up front. So again, you can click on the QR code. You can go to sellingtoolz.com, which will support you in getting in touch with us. And we'll also go over our regular pricing. So you'll see that there is a discount, which we also discount for the yearly subscription as well. That is what I wanted to share with you today, but I also wanted to make sure, as promised, that we have the ability for you to answer or have any of your questions answered. So is anybody looking to ask questions of Sean or myself, or look at any way that we can support further today? Nobody? Everybody's got this stuff all figured out? Oh, Philip has raised his hands. Philip. And yeah, you're just going to want to ask to unmute. I just can't. Oh, there you are, Phil. Perfect. Go ahead, man.
I just want to ask if the cost would include the landing pages for gold rush leads or for listing leads, or there's a separate cost associated with that.
Sean, is this our landing pages included in that bundle?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So all landing pages should be in there. The management is different, right? Management is a higher tier if you're looking to have us, have the ads created by our development team, which we scrutinize. I'm heavily involved with the ads process, and then determining what your budget is for Google or Facebook. But I know that some of our competitors are out there at $1,000 plus per month for management. That's without even your budgets, right? Where we're in and around the $500 mark. Again, there's levels to it, right? So it's like, where do you want to get started? What's going to apply to your business? Because, some people don't want to do online lead gen. They just want to learn about how to get these inbound listing calls. Some want to take it to another level and do all of it. And that's where we look to support kind of from that real granular level to begin with, but then moving people, along the way in terms of what they want their business to look like. Anybody else? Sean? Or are you just saying goodbye?
Yeah. No, I was going to say naming. So when you're looking at your Google profiles and stuff like that, if you're a team versus individual, and the best way to go about naming to rank better.
Sean, that's your wheelhouse. I will share my insight, but you go ahead.
Yeah, so in Google's best policies and the restriction, they say not to keyword stuff the name Sean, to say like Sean Baker, best real estate agent, Kitchener-Waterloo. I've done it many times over the years and never got in trouble. I know some people that have been flagged with it as well. I do find if you name the page after yourself, like Sean Baker, I do find it gets better responses because generally, like I'm in a smaller community. Sean, you're in Kitchener-Waterloo, right? So, but there is going to be some name recognition with Sean Baker because you put so much money and time out there. So, I recommend most of the time if you can put your name in it, especially if you're the team leader to help recognize it. I've done it both ways though.
I think, Sean, I think that what I'm really looking at right now, and I've seen this because I know that, I used to be the Ryan Hodge team many years ago, but then it changed to the Hodge group, right? And everything, and I'm doing it daily because I like as soon as Sean started teaching me this stuff, I was like, oh gosh, like all the stuff that I need to change that I don't even know that it's there. And one of the big things was shifting to Ryan Hodge and Sandra Tavares, London, Ontario real estate brokers, right? Which is long. But as I've continued to get that, going in that regard, I'm getting a lot more people that are saying, we know you guys, or that discoverability that way. And Sean Ryan, is that kind of accurate to that effect? Because I'm including the location, because what you've got to think about is people weren't really, searching up who's the Hodge group, right? They're searching who's the best real estate agents in London, Ontario, or, who sells the most homes in London, Ontario, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for the most part, like if you have a brand that has like really recognizable name or team name or something, you'll get some people searching that because like they heard a radio ad, saw a Boss Bench or something like that. Like in our community here, we get a lot of people searching the Blue Ghost team because that's our thing here. But it's really recognizable name in our community. We're a smaller community. There's a much more like when you say the name, people recognize it in our community because we're smaller. So you're right, Ryan. A lot of it is searching just for realtor, best realtor, London, Ontario, stuff like that. Maybe Wortley Village, the smaller communities around London. But also if you do a lot of brand recognition for your brand or your team or your brokerage, then people might be searching that too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. For sure. Great point. Anybody else? We've got a little more time if anybody has any questions. Does anybody have any questions about the Selling Toolz product, service, what we offer there? Cool. Well, if you have interest or you look to jump into our community, again, we've got a community group as well that's private for Selling Toolz clients. That's where we take all of our training and we do record all of it for Selling Toolz community, posting that into the group once a week. And we look to just continue to provide value in this space, and we want to get ahead of it. And whether you come in for every, free webinar that we offer, which we'll be doing very consistently, or you get involved in our, paid client community, we look to support. So as always, it's truly an honor. Sean, thank you for taking the time today as well. I'm glad to be in business with you and doing this stuff. I hope that everybody else is having an amazing, start to the spring market. I hope that you got some value from this, and we look forward to seeing you real soon. Have a great one.